Okay. Yeah, the quarter's a little confined here. You have to excuse me for that. The Christmas decorations are still up. We haven't taken them down yet. And there's very little room for me to actually sit and operate, so please forgive me for this. Now, below you'll see a link to a video. I made that a few days after the Sandy Hook massacre. It's filmed at 1 o'clock in the morning. My voice is low, but I haven't shaved, but it's very, very insightful video. Please watch it if you haven't already. Share it. Facebook, YouTube. Tell as many guys about it as possible. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's got a lot of hits and I appreciate it. I want a lot more for that. This video is going to be a little more in depth about my opinions of school security, what can be done and what should be done. I have a whole list. This is not a short video. Now, my buddy Riz Arms. Riz Arms is a Marine Corps veteran. I'm going to put a link to him below. You can like, favorite, and subscribe. Me and him, we're going back and forth with Come on, man, please. Me and Riz Arms are going back and forth in a personal message a few days after the shooting, and I brought up the Titanic, and I said, it's kind of like after the Titanic, if one guy said, let's have more this and that, and other guys, let's have iceberg control. We're going to talk about the Titanic. Now, obviously, there are documentaries and movies about the Titanic and books, and I could spend 5 hours talking about it, but we're just going to cover the basic components of the Titanic disaster in a few short minutes. The Titanic was a disaster. Sandy Hook was a disaster. Man-made versus nature-made, but lifeboat issue. The lifeboats law was written in 1895, and 17 years later, the law was obsolete. The law said if your boat was X number of tons, it needed X number of lifeboats. My opinion of that is, what if you have a 50-ton cargo ship with 20 guys on it, and what if you have a 3-ton sailing ship with 50 guys on it? The tonnage of the boat has nothing to do with the lifeboats. It's stupid. Titanic sailed with 16 lifeboats, I believe, which was actually more lifeboats than it was required to have by law. The gentleman that designed the Titanic, Mr. Thomas Andrews, literally wrote down that he wanted more lifeboats. He wanted double and triple davits. He wanted to nearly triple the number of lifeboats on the ship. He was overruled by a manager named J. Bruce Ismay. It wasn't necessary to have more lifeboats. So J. Bruce Ismay canceled out Thomas Andrews, and they sailed with like 16 lifeboats. Ironically, both of them on the ship when it sank. J. Bruce Ismay saw one of the last lifeboats leaving with one empty seat in it. The seat would have been empty anyway. He decided to jump in. And Thomas Andrews, the gentleman who demanded more lifeboats and was turned down, he went down with the ship. So now, when you go on a ship, that ship must have at least one seat in a lifeboat for every living person on board. Most ships will have more than enough spare lifeboat, spare seat here and there in case the lifeboat breaks, in case an explosion happens. They'll have more than enough. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. The communication. Communication back then was the wireless, the Morse code. The Morse code people on the Titanic were more interested in paying attention to personal messages and iceberg warnings. When the Titanic was sinking, another communication guy on another ship went to bed, woke up the next morning and found out, oh my God, the Titanic just sank. The Titanic could not reach that ship. Nowadays, communication rooms are manned 24 hours a day. Today we have telephones, fax machines, internet, satellite, we have all these doohickeys. But today, if I'm on a ship and I walk into the communication room, no matter what day it is or what time it is, I need to see at least one person on duty. Best way to do that is to have 2 people on duty. That way when one guy goes to the bathroom, another guy is there. And have 8-hour shifts. These guys work 8 hours, these guys work 8 hours, these guys work 8 hours. That way, yes, You don't want to have one guy there for 24 hours straight. It'll go crazy. And the weather reports and other incident reports, they must go immediately to the captain. No more of this, I'll stop this for now to handle personal messages. That doesn't happen anymore. It's not allowed to happen. The safety drill. There was no safety drill on the Titanic. There was supposed to be one about 20 hours before the crash, but there was no safety drill. The captain didn't feel like doing it for some reason. Because of the safety drill, a lot of men were confused. Men and women were confused. They didn't know what to do, where to go. Also, there was no proper training. There were a couple of men manning the lifeboat that wanted to lower the lifeboat into the water empty and have people jump from the deck into the lifeboat. Thankfully, someone stopped them before they put it into action, but that was their idea. They didn't know what to do. They were untrained. And they didn't know that the lifeboats could hold 70 men. The lifeboats were equipped to hold 65 seats, but they were tested to hold 70 men. If a lifeboat can hold 70 men, it could hold 65 women and children. They thought the lifeboats would buckle under pressure, so they sent the lifeboats out half empty. So you got enough lifeboats for half the guys on the ship, plus let's send them out half empty. Well, today the crew members must have training. Now today it's all hydraulics. You hit a button, lifeboat comes down, opens up, you go inside, hit a button, it goes down to the water. If that fails, they have a hand crank. Lifeboats today are enclosed. They have a pilot seat. They have a bottled water and food. They have headlights. They have radios. But the crew is trained how to use them. Unlike yesteryear, they weren't trained. Also, when you go on a cruise ship now, they are required by law to conduct a lifeboat drill within 24 hours of departure. So a captain could legally wait 23 hours and 59 minutes, but most captains realize, what if something happens within the first 23 hours? So pretty much every ship you go on today, the captain will not even turn the engine on unless the lifeboat drill is done. Also, we have many navies and coast guards, including the U.S. Coast Guard, that have the ice patrol, where they actually go out, look for ice and other disasters, other hazards, and relay them to ships. And the Coast Guard claims, since they've been doing that, no one that has listened to them has had significant problems. Have there been shipwrecks since the Titanic? Yes. In wartime, there were more disastrous shipwrecks than Titanic, but in peacetime, Titanic was the worst. But since these safety implements have been installed, there have been no significant Titanic disasters. Okay? We need this plan with schools. Okay? Now, let's start with the outer perimeter of the school. I have a list here I'm reading off of. There should be, and not every school can do everything I'm proposing, but some things. There could be someone on patrol in the outer rim of the school. I like it to be all day, if not in the morning and afternoon when people are getting in and out of school and there's massive rushing going on and cars and buses and stuff like that. That person could be a police officer if you could spare one. You have a police officer in the neighborhood anyway, tell him in the morning and afternoon, patrol by the school. It's in your jurisdiction anyway, just patrol by the school. You could have a security guard with a golf cart. You could literally have a security guard from the school with a golf cart or an ATV driving around. He could walk on foot, but if he has to go from point A to point B very fast, he needs a vehicle. And a car or a motorcycle might not be able to go up on the grass and up on the sidewalk, but a golf cart might be. Or a Segway. But you should try to have a guard positioned on the outer perimeter at least in the morning and afternoon. Surveillance cameras. Is it possible? If it is possible, do it. If it's not possible, okay. But try as hard as you can. Even if you have one surveillance camera by the main entrance, even if you have one surveillance camera on a flagpole scanning the outer perimeter, it could save lives. Entrance and exit doors locked. Okay. If it's possible, if there's not that many students, have all the doors closed all day except the front door. And have the students go in the front door. If that's not possible, in the morning and afternoon, have the side doors, the back doors open to let students come in and out. But once the bell rings for homeroom or in elementary school classes, when the bell rings for regular class, When the bell rings, close the doors. Now, obviously the door will be closed from the outside, not the inside. So if I'm on the outside of the school, I should not be able to get in. If I'm on the inside of the school and there's a fire, I should be able to get out. So this door will be locked from the inside will be unlocked, the outside will be locked so that an intruder cannot get in, but a student can get out in case of emergency. When I was in school, pretty much all the doors were in the stairwell. So you go right down the stairwell to the ground floor, right at the door. That way you don't gotta come out of the stairwell, walk through the hallway, go down the passageway. And during school hours, from the minute the bell rings for a homeroom or regular class to the minute the bell rings at the end of the day, all those doors should be closed, and the only way to get in or out is through the front door. That means a late student, a parent, through the front door. There must be a security guard at the front door. Can he have a wand to search? Yes, he can. You might not be able to get a full-fledged metal detector or body scan, but you can get a security guard with a wand. Most schools I went to, my junior high school, my high school, the main office was right by the front door. So when someone comes in, security greets them, they go right into the office to get a visitor's pass or state their business or whatever the hell they're doing. Okay. And if possible, I want the guards armed. I said that in my other video, I want the guards armed. We're going to talk about that later in the video. And I read a proposal from Michael Reagan, son of President Reagan, last night. He agrees with me. We didn't talk personally, but his point of view agrees with mine. The person should be armed. Who could it be? Can you get a police officer? Where I live, there are a lot of police officers extra. We have police officers doing civilian jobs. Take the police officer out of the civilian job, put a civilian in, put the police officer in the school. There are police officers where I live that have $100,000 a year pension. Give them an extra $10,000 a year to come out of the retirement to guard the school. Maybe they'll do it for free. They're already making $100,000 a year pension, maybe they'll do it for free. Military. We have gentlemen in the military that are unemployed now. They're my age, combat experience, combat training. They had a terrorist fire fully automatic rifles at them every day. They could deal with a lunatic firing a semi-automatic rifle. Nothing new to them. And they're unemployed or begging for $5 an hour jobs cleaning toilet bowls. Give them the job, why not? I went to school with one gentleman. He was my class. He was a sailor and a Marine. I gotta find the video. I saw him take a torso target, which is a target of the human body, the head, the torso area, send it 100 yards downrange, pick up a 9mm Glock 17, and put 10 rounds in the head at 100 yards. Another gentleman I went to school with was 2 years older than me. He's a Navy SEAL. He's about 5'3", 5'4". He's a Navy SEAL. He missed his high school reunion 4 years ago because he was in the mountains of Afghanistan. Okay, these gentlemen would have eaten Adam Lanza for breakfast. Okay, Adam Lanza might be able to hold his own against a room full of 5-year-olds, but you got a trained man in there, he doesn't stand a chance. Okay, the interior structure of the school. Most schools and all the buildings are made out of concrete, load-bearing walls. You couldn't put a 30-06 bullet through that wall. Other areas up top, the third floor, the top floor, might have sheetrock walls. Is it possible for us to insulate those walls with something, ballistic, Kevlar inserts? Is that possible? This might not be possible for old schools, but new schools being built. The door. Any rifle can go through a door. The door should be steel or have some kind of hollowed out and have Kevlar inserts. The little window for the door. You know, you have a little window on your door. That way you can look in and see the teacher's not being inappropriate. That can be bulletproof. The doors must be closed at all times and locked from the outside. That means the administrators and security guards with the key, they can get in. Or if an authorized person is on the outside of the door, looking in the little window, they want to come in for some reason, open the door, let them in. But the door should be locked from the outside. The door should be closed at all times. The door is unlocked from the inside, so if there's a fire, the student can get out. But the door must be locked from the inside. From the outside, Excuse me. Drills. We have fire drills all the time in school. And when I was a kid, we had bomb drills because we were afraid the enemy was going to fly fighter jets over our schools and bomb us. I've never heard of a school bombing by enemy terrorists. And I never heard, and it's been a while since I heard of a school fire. We drill for fires. Why not shootings? Okay, now, we should have a shooting drill. This shooting drill should be the very first day of school in the morning, just like the lifeboat drill on the ship. And it should be every school, every year. Now, when there's a fire or fire alarm, what happens? You ring the bell, everybody runs into the hall, rushes out the door, and goes outside. Now, if there's a guy running around the halls with a gun, do I want to have 500 kids running through the hallway at once? No. So, the bell for the shooting alarm must be so different than the fire alarm that a pre-K'er could know the difference. Ring the bell. This is the shooting alarm. What do? We turn out the lights. We take the cabinet or bookshelf that is next to the door and push it in front of the door. We get down. We tip over the desks, the chairs, the tables. We hide behind them. I've actually seen people selling ballistic book bags. Bulletproof book bags. Take the bulletproof book bag, put it in front of you, get behind it. Now, how do we know if it's real or fake? The principal should announce over the intercom, this is not a drill. That way we know this is real. You're a teacher, you're in the classroom, you got a cell phone, dial 911. Do not assume that someone else dialed 911. Assume that no one dialed 911. Assume you are the only person in the building with a cell phone and dial 911. You ever see the Towering Inferno? A lot of these major office buildings have a button where they hit the button and it automatically sends a signal to the fire department. We could have built into the principal's office a button where I hit the button, it automatically tells the police I have an intruder. A lot of schools have unruly students and they gotta have them arrested. Okay, call the police and say one student has to be arrested, send one police car, fine. But when there is an active shooter, hit the button, that button sends a message to the police department, shooter at this campus. That way the police know to bring the riot gear, the SWAT team, the dogs, the sharpshooters, the stadies, they know what to bring all that stuff there. We have specialized training for flight attendants. Since before September 11th, the deal was when a hijacker comes on the plane, the flight attendants get on their knees and they beg for mercy. Since September 11th, the flight attendants are instructed, do not let the terrorists take over the plane. And you'd really be surprised how good of a fighter some of these little teachers are. Some of these little flight attendants can be. We should teach teachers some sort of basic self-defense techniques. That way they can restrain a student. Well, you can't restrain a student if you're shooting a gun. What about during the reload? Is that possible? Wait and see. Teach the teachers some sort of restraints, techniques, defensive stuff. Hit someone over the head with a chair while they're reloading. Tackle them. There's a gentleman named Rob Pincus. He's a firearms instructor. I'm going to put a link below. Rob Pincus has a special class where he teaches students to defend themselves from a gunman. The gunman comes in, everyone throws something at his head. The gunman's down the hall, lock the door, turn out the light. Rob has an edited video below I'm going to put. He has the full-length video. He'll give it for free to any school that asks. Go down below and check Rob out, please. And I thank him for that. That's very, very necessary, Rob. Thank you. He's also hosting 10-hour-long classes with students to teach them how to survive this stuff. Now, one proposal is giving teachers weapons. Could you give a teacher a can of pepper spray? Give them a special license to get law enforcement pepper spray. I'd rather have a gun, but if I can't have a gun, I'll have pepper spray. Something is better than nothing. You always have to write in the teacher's contract, if the teacher uses this method on a student, they are fired immediately. But in an absolute last scenario, the worst case scenario, pepper spray, hit with a chair, tie up, restrain, tackle. If it's an absolute last resort, the teachers should fight. Now, I don't expect the 75-year-old teacher with the hip replacement to do this stuff. But you can train others, younger teachers. I had a professor who was 5 years older than me. I was 25, she was 30. She was a psychology professor. She had more experience than guys twice her age. Worked in mental institutions, worked with a lot of really, really insane, dangerous people. Okay? And this little girl, 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, could take down a man bigger than me. And I'm 5'9", and I'm about 175 to 180, 185. She could take me down with her bare hands and feet. Flat on the floor. It can be done. Okay, I'm talking about Pincus. Utah charges $50 for a carry conceal license. They're waiving it for teachers. Utah is giving teachers specialized training classes for free. Texas is considering arming their teachers in certain districts. Arizona is considering arming the principal. Now, obviously, I said you must have training. They must go through specialized training before they can do this. A police officer has already had that training at the academy. A soldier, a discharged soldier, now working as private school security, he's already had that training. Other school security, you can teach them. I talked about it in my other video. Watch the link below. You can teach them. You can give them specialized training on combat. You can have the police academy. Most police academies are vacant on Saturday and Sunday. Give the instructor extra money at the police academy. Have him teach a class to school security on a Saturday or a Sunday. Learn certain weapons and tactics. Learn shooter drills. I have the armed guard certification. Am I an elite member of Delta Force? No, I'm not. But something is better than nothing. And I talk about that in my other video. Please watch it. Vinny, a guy with a handgun cannot take down a guy with a rifle. Do you want to take that back before we begin talking again? Okay. We have a police officer in my hometown. She's 4 years older than I am. She's been on the force for a while now. She must have been 23 or 24 when she was hired. She is, and I've seen her standing up barefoot. She's 5'2". Okay? I've seen her with shorts and a t-shirt. She's about 110 pounds. When she was about 23 or 24, she was on duty. She had the Glock 19, which is a 9mm. It's this gun, but a 9mm. And the gun was bigger than her hand. I don't know all the details, but for some reason there was a guy with a rifle. I don't know what kind of rifle. I don't know where he was at. I don't know what angle, position, trajectory, distance. But this guy had a rifle and he had a really serious attitude problem. Well, she corrected that problem real fast. She put a bullet right in his stomach with her 9mm Glock. and he has to wear a colostomy bag. She got the Combat Cross, which is a police decoration in my hometown. Now, you know how someone says, when I look in the mirror, I see your face? Well, when he takes a dump, he sees her face. He will never, ever, ever forget her as long as he lives. Her will to survive was stronger than his will to kill. There was a shooting in 2007 at a youth mission. Guy had an AR-15 and 2 handguns. He killed 2 and wounded 2 at a youth mission. 2 hours later, he decided to attack a church. The church's security guard was Jean Assam. Jean was a full-fledged, I think she was a retired police officer. She was a police officer. I don't know if she was active or retired, but she was a police officer. Now, Jean was acting as security for the church. Youth group was attacked at 11 p.m. She's at her church at 1 a.m. The suspect, what the hell's his name? I don't have his name here. The suspect comes into the parking lot with his AR-15, opens fire. He's already killed 2 wounded 2 at a youth group. Now at the church, he's killed 2 killed and 3 wounded at the parking lot of the church. He goes to the main building of the church. There's a front entrance and a secondary entrance. He takes a smoke bomb and sets it off at the secondary entrance, hoping that Jean would run to the secondary entrance and be distracted. Jean knew at 11 o'clock that when this guy shot the youth group, he was going to come to her church. That little voice in your head, listen to it. It will save your life, believe me. So Jean knew this guy was coming for her church. Now, she's in the church, at the front entrance. Smoke bomb goes off at the secondary entrance. She's not falling for it. He came through the front entrance, hoping to God that she was by the back entrance, taking care of the smoke bomb. She didn't fall for it. She was standing right there in front of him. He whipped out his AR-15. He fired a whole bunch of bullets at her. All the bullets landed behind her on the wall. Ever see Pulp Fiction? Samuel Jackson says, God came down from heaven and stopped the bullets. That's what she said. She, to this day, believes God came down from heaven and stopped the bullets from hitting her. Now, he's got the AR-15. He's shooting at her. He misses. She's got a revolver. She didn't miss. She got him in the chest. I think he had on a body armor. He went down. He realized all hope was lost. Whipped out his Beretta. Shot himself in the head. No one, gun control, gun rights, no one, including Paul Helmke, former president of the Brady campaign, no one doubts that had it not been for her, he would have went into the main area of the church and he would have killed people until he ran out of ammunition. So when some idiot tells you an armed guard with a handgun is useless against a maniac with a rifle, show him this video. Now, arming principals, arming teachers that are trained and qualified will not make a difference. No, it will not. Luke Woodham stabbed his mother to death, grabbed a .30-30 Marlin rifle, went to school. There were 2 girls that he perceived he had a problem with. He killed them. He also shot and wounded at least 7 others. The principal was a reserve army officer. He went to his car. He got a Colt 1911. This is the Springfield 1911, but alright, the Colt 1911. Look at a war movie. For those that don't know guns, look at a war movie about Vietnam, Korea, World War I or World War II. That's a Colt 45. That's a Colt 1911. Principal went out of his car, this is the principal, went to his car, got his 1911, came back in, and arrested Luke Woodham. Luke Woodham was a big guy with a small brain and a really serious attitude problem. He would have killed everybody in that school if he had the chance to. Well, teaching teachers safety techniques, defensive techniques. You know, you can't tackle a mad gunman when he's reloading. Okay. Kipland Kinkle, also known as Kip Kinkle, age 15. He was suspended from school for gun possession. When I was in school, you were expelled. He was suspended. He killed his parents. He went to school with a .22 rifle. He went into the cafeteria. He injured 19. He killed one at school. He killed his parents plus one at school. Plus 19 were injured by gunfire. Plus at least 6 others were injured by falling into things, being trampled, whatever. They were injured by going crazy and running around. As Kip was reloading his weapon, Jake Riker, age 17, who was shot in the hand and in the chest, he was a wrestler. He raced forward and he tackled Kip Kinkle. And when he did that, other kids came in and they piled on top of him and stopped it. My friends, it can be done. Okay? Now, I don't expect every school to do this. Only elite private schools and public schools in rich areas will be able to afford to do all this. But if I had to pick 3, this is what I would pick. I have to pick 3. I'm picking having the doors closed during school hours from the outside and having all visitors and late students come in the front door with the guard. That's 1. Guards being armed. That's 2. The safety drills and the alarm. That's 3. Those are my pick. If you can only afford 3, those are the 3 that I would want. I'd want the alarm. That way I can tell students, okay, this is a school shooting. Duck and cover, turn out the lights. I'd want to have the doors closed during the school day with 1 door open during the day. That way the bad guy can only come in one way. Effectively anyway. And I want to have the armed guard. That way, in case it comes to that. Yeah. And I will close by saying this. Between Gene Assad and the officer in my hometown, I would give every dollar I have on this earth if they could have been security guards for the Newtown public schools last month, this past month, last month. I would have given everything for that. Please share this video with everyone. Facebook, YouTube. There's no foul language. You can play it in schools. You can show it to teachers. You can show it to principals. You can show it to school administrators. You can show it to the police. Please show this video to everyone that you can. I thank you so much.